Hey guys, it's Miss McGinnis here. I hope you're all doing well. I really miss coming to school and seeing you guys every day. So I figured we can have language arts class at home. So we're going to continue reading normal. I'm going to start at part 2, A Happy Childhood. Even though I know we already started this, I figured we might as well review a little bit since it's been a week and a half now. So I'm just going to read aloud to you, and then you can comment and let me know if you have questions, and hopefully we can start a discussion online. Okay, meet Nathaniel. It says, "What? Is there broccoli in my teeth?" That's what Nathaniel's thinking. Everybody's staring at him. Nathaniel, I started school in kindergarten like most other kids. My parents say that even though I had lots of doctor's appointments, they wanted me to start school with everyone else. Personally, I think enrolling me in Ninja Warrior Camp would have been a little more original. My parents tried really hard to make sure the other kids understood what was going on with me and accepted me, so that's what my mom talks about when she describes my school experience. Funny thing is that the more time my parents spent preparing the parents and kids, the less time I had to spend thinking about and explaining how I was different. Because they made a big deal of it, it wasn't a big deal to me at all, if that makes sense. Magda, Nathaniel's mom. We were a little nervous about Nathaniel starting school. At the playground, in movie theaters, on the street, kids had started to point at him saying, "Ew!" Some of them would cry and ask to leave. Parents were sometimes embarrassed by this, but we didn't judge it. It's natural to have a reaction when someone looks dramatically different. We moved to Connecticut around the time Nathaniel was ready to go to kindergarten. We knew that his facial difference would be a surprise to his classmates. The summer before school began, we contacted the principal, Dr. De Palma. We told her that we had a child with some issues and that we'd like to bring him in for a meeting. Dr. De Palma, a petite Italian-American woman, happened to be the best principal that walked this planet. She made it clear that she was thrilled to have Nathaniel at school. Russell told her that he had an idea that he wanted to run past her. He said, "What if we write a letter to the school community? It could explain why Nathaniel looks the way he does. Maybe it would help everyone start off on the right foot." Dr. De Palma loved the idea, and later when she read his draft, she said, "This is brilliant. I cannot wait." Her praise made Russell and me feel good and proud that we'd found a good way to introduce our son to the community. Russell wrote the letter, but it was from Nathaniel's perspective. So Russell's dad wrote this letter to the parents and students of Nathaniel's new school. It says, "Hi, my name is Nathaniel Newman. I am in your son or daughter's class. I had a really great idea. You see, I figure by now your kid has maybe asked a few questions about me or talked about me when he or she came home from school today. Bet it would help if I told you a little more about myself." The letter explained Treacher-Collins syndrome in such a way that if a parent read it to a young child, they would both have all their questions answered. Treacher-Collins makes it so that when you're growing in mommy's belly, the bones in your face forget to grow like the rest of your bones. What happened to me was a lot of my bones forgot to grow. And I even grew some you're not supposed to have. All this, they tell me, sort of makes me a miracle. Cool, but a bit silly, because isn't every kid in our class a miracle? Here is some of the different stuff about me. I have no ears, but here is the amazing part. I hear everything you do. The stuff inside my head that makes you hear, drum, bones, nerves are all there, just no flippy floppy ears on the outside. This is called microtia. How do I hear, you ask? I have an amazing thing called a Baha hearing aid. I called it my magic ear. It's a small brown thing that I wear on a colorful headband. I have no cheekbones and my eyes slant down because there aren't enough bones holding up my eyeballs. They say they can fix this when I'm older. I'm not in a rush because that means another trip to NYU Medical Center. I've had like 20 surgeries there. I think that's plenty for now. My jawbone is really, really small. So is the inside of my mouth. The shape of my mouth, palate, throat, and airway is all a bit different. As a baby, it was hard for me to eat and breathe. But I figured it out, and now I eat like all the other kids at school. One really serious thing I have to tell you about. Remember I said I have some extra bones? Mine grew in a pretty yucky place, the back of my nose. I got a really cute nose on the outside, but on the inside there's a wall of solid bone at the back. This one has a hard name to say. Complete bilateral corneal atrasia. It does make some stuff real hard for me, especially breathing. That is why they put a hole in my throat with a cool tube sticking out of it. It's called a tracheostomy. At school, I wear a nifty purple cap over it so I can still talk real loud, and it helps me keep dirt out. So that's the letter that Nathaniel's dad wrote. Now Nathaniel's talking. Unfortunately, that nifty purple cap looked like a toy. Kids were always trying to pull it out. I want to wear your necklace, they'd say, then grab at it and pull. My weapon of choice to defend myself was one I had tested on my brother with good results, a Thomas and Friends toy train. For a couple of years, I always had Percy in one hand. Magda. The letter was already too long, but better too much than too little. We gave the parents suggestions for the instructions they might give their kids, not to stare and not to touch the trach or hearing aid. We also explained that because of his nose being blocked, sometimes Nathaniel's nose ran and he didn't notice it. If his nose was running, instead of laughing at him, the kids could just tell him to wipe it and he would. Finally, we asked them to treat Nathaniel like everyone else. We told them Treacher Collins didn't impact his mental or emotional development, and we said they could call us with questions. The letter helped set up Nathaniel for an easy entry into kindergarten. Everyone knew that a kid who was different was in the class. Nobody would be taken off guard. The parents would have a chance to prepare their kids and answer questions, and we could avoid some of the extra stress and stares. If you think about it, how many kids head off to school hoping their classmates will embrace their differences and welcome them? Maybe it doesn't start as young as kindergarten, but most kids have doubts and insecurities on the inside, whereas Nathaniel's struggles were out on display. Wouldn't it be great if everyone could write a letter to their future classmates saying, "Here are the unusual things about me. Please don't be scared. Ask me anything you want. I just want to make friends and play." Even though his kindergarten classmates were perfectly nice to him, from the very beginning, Nathaniel's school experience was different from other kids. A nurse had to be within a few feet of him at all times. The G-tube was gone, but he had very expensive hearing aid that couldn't get wet or damaged. And the tracheostomy, which had to be suctioned if he got it clogged, or immediately replaced if it got dislodged. If a kid tried to grab the tempting trach button, the nurse was there to intervene. So Nathaniel had to have a nurse with him at school who followed him and made sure that everything was safe. All right, back to Nathaniel. The nurse was keeper of the suction. She shadowed me constantly. Every so often, one would go off to another job and a new one would show up. Some of the nurses tried to make conversation, but mostly they hovered nearby. I didn't pay much attention to them. When you're 6 years old, teachers and your parents are already watching over you most of the time. What's one more person? The nurse would suction me when I needed it, and I'd return to whatever I was doing. My mom tells me that on the first day of kindergarten, she came to the classroom to introduce me to the other kids. We all sat in a circle on the rug, and I can imagine it pretty clearly because I've seen her say this to kids a million times now. She starts by asking, "Do you want to know why Nathaniel looks like this? It's just the way he was born." Then she tells them, "Touch your face. Feel your cheekbones. Nathaniel doesn't have cheekbones like you. That's why he looks different. That button on his neck helps him breathe. Please don't touch it. And the other button over here is his hearing aid." When she finished explaining me to my kindergarten class, she asked if there were any questions. "I'm scared of him," one boy said. "It's not what I would call a question, but whatever." "I'm sorry you feel that way," my mom said. "Why are you scared?" "He looks scary," the boy said. Kindergartners have a way with words. Mom said, "He looks different, but different doesn't have to be scary." As Mom tells it, I wasn't very involved in the conversation. I just said hi and smiled at the other kids, but wasn't dying to talk to them about how different I was. That sounds about right. All right. Thank you guys for listening. I would like you to write a comment in the comment section and tell me, how do you think it would feel to have a nurse with you at school every day? Okay? I'll also write that in the comments section, but I hope we can have a good discussion today, and I hope you are enjoying learning from home. Okay, thanks guys. Have a good day.